Okay, we'll start. Mitzvah Hashem. I was told no shorter than 2 hours, no longer than 3 hours. Everyone's okay with that?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay, wow, look at that. I wasn't expecting such a yes. And so many yeses. Okay, so Pesach is coming. Everybody's panicking. What do you do on Erev this year? Erev Pesach falls out to be on Shabbos. Lots of very scary shilas. What do you do? Everyone's very, very nervous. You can't burn your chametz. You can't do anything about it. So I'll tell you a secret. It's actually not so scary. It's pretty straightforward. Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to discuss everything. And we'll discuss everything leading prior to that. What you do not this Shabbos, the Shabbos afterwards. Some inyanim of shiurim, how much you have to eat. If the Elam wants, we can speak about kashering, whatever you have patience for. Okay, so we'll start off from the beginning. The halach is, the Gemara has a machlokes by at what point do you have to start Shelul Dershim B'ilchas Achag. So we know the Gemara brings 2 days. There's an interesting Pnei Yeshua that says it's actually mitzvah asman atayra to start learning the halachas 30 days before. We don't pass in this way. Obviously, it's Tikkun Moshe, it's a Tikkun of Moshe Rabbeinu. But what exactly does it mean? Because if you look in the Makairis, if you look what this Gemara is really discussing, it's actually talking about the Korban Pesach, so on and so forth. You have to get ready for those difficult halachas, which unfortunately today's day and age we don't have. So what are we, Shalom Darshan, what are we talking about? The answer is, all the Sifrei Achreinim, they all explain that if you don't have the Korban Pesach, so on and so forth, so what do? You learn Hilchos Pesach, halachas tzrichos, you have to know, Pashat, halacha l'maisa, hamaisa, sheyasun, what you need to do. So that's what we're here for. Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to try our best. The only problem is, the Gemara says 30 days. So we have to cram 30 days worth of learning into 1 hour. And that's b'chesed v'rach in 1 hour. Depending on how much headspace a person has, right? We have to... So, okay. Very, very good. So the first thing is, what's brought in the Shulchan Aruch is about Kimcha de Pischa, which is about Ma'is Chitin. It's very, very important. It's actually an obligation upon every single individual to make sure that their friends, their neighbors, their community members have what they need. Tzarkei Achag, they have what to be able to make Yom Tov with. It's an actual halacha l'maisa, and it's very interesting. There's a Rabbeinu Yerucham, which is one of the Rishonim, that says your kaifa, you can even force somebody to help their friends out, to help out your neighbors. So it's a very, very interesting halacha.
Give or to take?
Sorry? To give.
To give or
I don't think you have to be kaifa anyone to take. You know, you're kaifa to give, ad kadei kach. That's how far it goes. That the famous question that everyone asks is, can I use meiser money for it? Right? Famous question, very valid question. So what's brought down in the Achreidim is as follows, that really, it's an obligation. Right? It's an obligation to give ma'is chitin. So it's very, very interesting. So based on that, we know the halacha is in Ilchos Tzedakah that anything which you have an obligation, you can't use meiser money for. So what do? The answer is very, very interesting. It doesn't say how much you have to give. You have to give. So you can give a little bit from your own, and the rest you can be mashla with meiser. That's what the pshado in the Pesach, that's what they say to do. So you fulfill your obligation by giving everything. Once you fulfill your obligation, then you can add on from your meiser, and you're good to go. Okay, so that's about ma'is chitin, kimcha de pischa, as it's called in the Gemara. We know the entire Chodesh Nisan, we're already 5 days in, already tonight is 6 days in, the entire Chodesh Nisan, we don't say Tachnun. Beautiful. Isn't that great, right? The whole, it's not like Tishrei, you have to wait until after Yom Kippur, the entire Chodesh, we don't say Tachnun, v'chulu v'chulu, as Peter, we don't want to speak about such things, but also we don't fast, so Chodesh Nisan is Takar Chen Shegula. There's no Avedas, obviously, because you're not saying Tachnun, and that's it, we're living with Mashiach, what's greater than that, right? Okay. So that's all about Chodesh Nisan. Let's actually get into Pesach. B'dikas Chametz. We're going to start with that. There's a lot to discuss about B'dikas Chametz. There's a lot. Traveling, what do? You're selling a place, somebody's renting from you, somebody's borrowing from you, but you're selling it. Are you allowed to do that? You're going to somebody else's house. So, are you allowed to do B'dikas Chametz? Do you have to do B'dikas Chametz? Do you make a bracha? You don't make a bracha? What exactly am I doing by B'dikas Chametz? Is it a symbolic mitzvah? I put 10 pieces of bread, and that's it. I find them, and I'm good to go, right? You play a game, you find what you need to find, you get a prize, there's no prize, but whatever, you move on. The prize is you get to check it off from your to-do list, right? What do you have to do? What exactly is the Agdara? What is the obligation of B'dikas Chametz? So first of all, let's discuss who is obligated in B'dikas Chametz. Who does this obligation fall on? So the halacha is that actually this obligation falls on every single individual balabayis, whoever owns whoever is the head of the household, they are obligated in the B'dikas Chametz. Right? So technically, if nobody else is in the mood, and it's whatever, it's just you, it's taka just you. You're stuck. You have to do it all. So, but there are enough commitments to that. We're going to speak about it. Technically, the Rebbetzin is Pater, the children are all Pater, they are all included in your chiyuv. The chiyuv falls on you, and if they're nice, they can help out, but they definitely don't make their own bracha, as we're going to be discussing with Hashem. They're all included in your personal obligation. Somebody who is a grusha or an almana, in any of these cases, so technically there is no real balabais, but she is that balabais, she is that person who is in charge of that household, it's her home. So she has the obligation to do B'dikas Chametz, it's her place, and the obligation falls on her. Obviously, a single girl living by in her own place, same thing, the obligation falls on her. If she has roommates, it's a shared obligation, everyone has to check their own area. It goes on whoever is the balabais of that property, even though it says Lashon Balabais, Lashon Zacher, but obviously it's self-understood that if the balabais is an Isha, the same obligation falls on her. Okay? Beautiful. When do you do B'dikas Chametz? So we're going to speak about the way it is in all of the years, and then later on we're going to go what is done this year. It's just you're being active one extra night. It's not such a big deal. So usually on a regular year, not on this year, you're doing it Leil Yudalid. Everyone knows the Gemara, Psachim, going back and forth. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does the Gemara say? The Mishnah say that light does mean day, does mean night. Right, the whole back and forth, you break your head, and then it's an easy maskana in the Gemara, right? So the halacha is that you search the night before Yudalad, the night leading into Leil Yudalad. Yudalad is out of Pesach. You check Chametz, and you have to do it l'eraner, as we're going to be discussing. Today's day and age, can you leave the lights on? Can you use a flashlight? These are all very important questions, which are addressed by the Achreinim, Yetz Hashem. So, why do you have to do it by night? Why can't you do it by day? Why can't you do it the next day? Technically, there are cases where you have to do it the next day if you didn't do it by night. But why were Chazal Keveya, the halacha, that it has to be dafka by nighttime? So, the Gemara tells us the reason why it has to be specifically by night is because that's when everyone is home. What are we doing here? I don't know. We're supposed to be home. That's what says the Gemara. It's a time that everyone is found in their homes. So, right? So that's why Chazal dafka Keveya, the chiyuv, they specifically instituted that this mitzvah should be performed at a time where generally people are all found at home. And another reason is because Er Haner is Yafal B'dika. Right? The candlelight, which today we will discuss about flashlights, so on and so forth. A candle shines much brighter at night, which is very fascinating. Because if you take a candle and you put it in a dark room by day, the halacha is it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. The Gemara tells us it's not going to be as bright, and you're not Yetzir B'dika in such a manner. The hafka has to be by night, because something by night is mashpia, that the air it's much brighter, and you're able to search for chametz in a much better way. We're going to discuss today. I have so many lights, right? Today who uses the candles? Yetz Hashem will discuss it. That is all very, very important questions and points. So. We said night. Night is a very, very vague term. What's night? Is night shkia? Is night in the middle of Benishmasha somewhere? Is night time with Tzeisak Echavim? Right? Many halachas we actually go by shkia. Many halachas we go by tzeis. So which one is it? So when it comes to the B'dikas Chametz, the halacha is the chiyuv falls specifically by Tzeisak Echavim, by the later Zman, so the shkia. After shkia, there's Tzeisak Echavim, there's nightfall as it's called. That is when the obligation begins. The Taz explains a very, very interesting reason why it's dafka by tzeis. It's a fascinating explanation. He says like this. By tzeis, when it hits night, there's a shinoi v'hergesh bedavar. Right? A person feels the change, and you feel that it's a new, meaning you get a certain hergesh that it's already tzeis yechavim, and you're not going to come to forget to make the b'dikas chametz, which is very, very fascinating. What do you do if you're sitting in a dark home or if you don't have any windows? The question is a question, but the Taz writes that there's something special about the time of Tzeisak Yechavim which dafka then, that's why we say to do B'dikas Chametz dafka by nightfall. The Pri Chodesh, the Chok Yaakov, and the Alter Rebbe all give the same explanation, and they all paskin that it's by nightfall, it is by Tzeisek Echavim, and not by Shkia. Is there a real nafkamina? You'll see in a moment there isn't, because we're having Maida first, which we're going to get to in a moment. So what happens if your Rebbetzin sent you on an errand? It happens sometimes, no? You have to get something last minute, and you didn't check exactly by the time of Tzeisek Echavim. Are you potter? That's it. I missed the time, right? There's Seizman Kriyashma. You missed this man, you're potter, you're good to go. Chas v'shalom, right? You missed the mitzvah, right? So, Baruch Hashem, you don't miss the mitzvah, you're still able to fulfill the mitzvah the entire night. The mitzvah continues, you're able to fulfill the mitzvah up until Aleis HaShachar, up until the morning. And from the morning and on, if you didn't check until then, the chiv is still chal. There's a machlekes in the Mishnah. What happens if you didn't check the entire Pesach? Did you get away with it, or not really? So there's a machlekes. And the halacha is, if you didn't check, first of all, on Erev Pesach, you have to check on Pesach. That itself is a machlekes, how you do it. If you didn't check by the Mayid, you have to check on Chol HaMayid. If you didn't check then, you have to check by the last days of Pesach. And if you didn't check then, we're not giving you an easy pass. You have to check even after Pesach. Why? A very fascinating explanation. Because the Maisa, there's a knas which is chal from the Chachamim, right? There was chametz she'over olva Pesach. There was chametz which you didn't address, and unless you sell it. If you sell it, then it's not yours; it belongs to the goy. But let's say you didn't sell it, obviously. Then it's awesome. And Chazal gave you a knas. You have to go look for all the chametz which you did not check for, and you have to destroy it. You're not allowed to take any benefit from it. Okay, it's pretty harsh, no? And even if somebody's a shegig, if somebody by accident didn't check, the halacha is still that you're not allowed to derive benefit from it. And the Aruch HaShulchan explains why. Why is it so strict? I forgot. I was busy. I was saving the world. I was very, very busy. I was deciding who's going to be the next president. I was doing big things, right? And Pasha, I forgot. Right? So what happened? L'chayra, you can tie in, I'm a shegig. I made a mistake. Why should I be punished? The halacha actually is, that's not a good excuse. Why? Because what happens if you're going to have somebody who's very, very smart? He knows the halacha is that somebody who's a shegig, they get off the hook. So he'll do it on purpose, and he'll say, shegig o yisi. I was by mistake. Right? So it's an easy scam, so to speak. It's an easy way out. So Chazal said, no, there's no playing, there's no games over here. You have to check for chametz, and there's no playing around, which is very, very interesting. So just like we say, it's not just like, it's actually the opposite. So we just said that the chiyuv, the obligation starts by Tzeisek Echavim. One should not be makdim, one should not do it earlier by Bein HaShmoshes. It should be done dafka specifically by Tzeisek Echavim. This is again the same Taz, the Aliyah Rabbah, the Chok Yaakov, and the Alter Rebbe, all paskin not to be makdim, not to do it earlier. So let me ask you a question. Why do you have to do B'dikas Chametz? The mitzvah is tashbis. You have to destroy the chametz. So let's think a little bit about the mitzvah of tashbis, of destroying chametz. If you think about it, technically, is it an obligation to mamish, be seiref, burn your entire house down, make sure that there's absolutely no chametz? Is that the mitzvah? Or technically, if I'm mafkid it, if I take it out of my rishos completely, it's not mine, I have nothing to do with it. We know actually that itself is a kiyum, that itself is also fulfilling the mitzvah of destroying the chametz. Because it's not that the chametz has to be destroyed, it's that you cannot have any chametz. So we all do on Erev Pesach and after the B'dikah something called bittul. Right? We're mevatel all of our chametz. It's after the Ara, whoever wants to come and take it, come and take it. By me, it's completely null and void. So technically, Minat Torah, that's good enough, right? And I want to ask the question even stronger. In today's day and age, everyone sells the chametz. And in the shtar, what does it say? Everything is sold to the guy. It's not yours. So if you want to push and say that there are certain reasons why you still have to check, but if you're selling everything, what are you checking for? It's not yours. Whatever you're going to find was sold to the guy. So why are you doing b'dikas chametz? So it's a famous question, and there's a few answers which are given. One of the answers are, that you're not really selling everything. No guy is going to buy all your crumbs. No guy is going to buy your bagel that you forgot about, or your chocolate bar that has the wafers inside of it. He doesn't want it, right? So that's an answer. That's a potential answer. The only problem is, in the Shtar it says that that's included in the sale as well. So there's a few cute answers, but none of them are too good, if you can say such a thing. So let's put the question of selling comments on the side. If technically I'm Mekayim the mitzvah, if technically I'm Mekayim the mitzvah of Tashbir, so Pashut, right? If I'm Mevatel everything, I'm Mafkir everything, so technically, what else do I need? I was Mekayim the mitzvah Esam in Atayra al Tashbir, so what's the teretz? So there's two Eifanim, there's two Mahalchim in the Rishonim to explain this question. So the first answer is very pashut. Once it was Pesach and I saw somebody taking something, a meichel that looked like something which technically year-round you'd make a mezainis. It was a potato mat, whatever it was. He took it and he was about to make a mezainis. How can you make such a mistake? Then he had oy vey. How can I even think to do such a thing? It's Pesach, right? What's the teretz? Rabbi said the teretz is the entire year you're handling with chametz. You eat it every single day. Okay, there's a few days a year you fast, but that's about it. Right? For over 300 days a year, you're pashut midiyem beyem eating chametz on a regular basis. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen is pashut. It's going to come Pesach, you're going to see something, and you're going to naturally come to eat it. Right? You're not going to chap, and you may come to make a mistake. So that's why Chazal were extra careful. They made a special takana that is an obligation to actually search and get rid of any possible chametz that you are not mevatel. Well, actually, we're mevatel, but it's not going to help you if you may come to eat it by mistake. That's one mahalach in the Rishonim. This is the opinion of Tosfos. So it's very, very interesting. It's very, very practical. It happens. Well, it doesn't happen. That's why you check for it. The second explanation is given by the Ran, and the Alter Rebbe quotes this explanation as well, and that is, bittul is something which is totally believe. Do you really want to be mafter your $300 bottle of mashka? Really? Really or not really? Yeah? We can argue about it, or you can argue back and forth by yourself if you really want to be a mafter. Right? You got such a special present, and it's a very, very chashuv bottle of mashka. You're going to start having second thoughts. You're going to say the words, but your words and your heart are not necessarily going to be equal. So what do? So therefore, Chazal said, no, you got to make b'dikas chametz. You have to get rid of everything, because we know that a person is a person, right? And a person may not actually fully have the intent to be mevatel everything, and that's why they were not samech on that. They didn't just rely on that, and they also obligated you to get rid of it. So, what are you not allowed to do before b'dikas chametz? Right? We're getting ready. Sorry.
I went through the process, but I didn't really mean to sell it.
Too bad. So he asked me a very, very good question. I don't really want to sell it. You know, there's a mashka company that if you see on one of the shtaris, it says a certain name, and it's a big mashka company. He's not from, he's a yid, but he's not from. So I called him. You have to make mechiras chametz. You really think he wants to sell his business? No, let's be honest. You really think for a moment he wants to sell his business, and it's not going to be his, and the guy is going to take over, right? So, what's the answer? The answer is that in reality, that once you give reshus, it doesn't make a difference. You can't, right? Once the kinyanim are made, once you go ahead, you sign the shtar, the kinyanim are made, everything is done, you can't just back out, right? When you learn Chesed Mishpat, whenever you sold something, the guy paid for it. The guy who owns the store can't chase after you and say, 1 second, I didn't really mean it. Right? There's a famous story in Eretz Yisrael not too long ago. The Rav was very, 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 very frum. He made sure that everybody brought their chametz into a public storage. And guess what? Such a mahodim dika mechira that year. The guy came and took everything home. And they chased him. What are you talking about? We want to buy it back. Well, what is this? It's just a routine. You're not really buying it. Rabbi said, too bad. You sold it. It's a real mechira. It's not a harama. It's not a trick. Although there are places that say that it's all one big trick. There are. But according to Alter Rebbe, it's not. According to Alter Rebbe, it's a real mechira gemura. And that's actually why the Alter Rebbe has an out of Kablan Because without an Arv Kabbalah, there is a possibility of being mevatel the mechira lemafreya. But if you have an Arv Kabbalah, it's as if everything is paid up front, and he is an actual owner of it. Now you may ask a question, but technically you can't really go to court with it. I mean, your status are not really, there's no lawyer overseeing it. You're not making proper tikkun status as it is with the American law. So what's it worth legally? So the teretz is, when you look at the Magen Avraham, when he discusses the halachas, we actually don't care. The halacha is, the main thing is that the kinyanim were made al pi Torah. That's the main thing. The kinyanim that were made al pi Torah, it's his. There's nothing you can do about it. Right? If you didn't fully agree to the mechir, you should have spoken up. You should have said, you know what, I back out. You didn't back out. Right? You went ahead. You signed your name, and the kinyanim were made on your behalf. It was sold. Finished. Done deal. So hopefully that's the answer. Hopefully to that. Okay, so before B'dikas Chametz, what are you allowed to do? What are you not allowed to do? There's a lot. Are you allowed to learn Torah? Learning Torah is always a great thing, right? Are you allowed to learn Torah? There's a lot to discuss. So the halacha is, it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch that a person has to be careful not to start doing any malacha before B'dikas Chametz. He should not be eating anything. And even if he has a set time, he has a chavros. Imagine if this kviyus was next week, right? The halacha is that b'dikas chametz comes first. That b'dikas chametz would override, so to speak, a kviyus of limud Torah. But how much in advance are you not allowed to learn? How much in advance are you not allowed to eat? It's chatzei shah, it's half an hour. So from Tzeisek Echavim, as we said, half an hour beforehand, you should stop eating. You shouldn't start any new learning. You have to go get yourself ready for b'dikas chametz. Te'ima ba'alma, tasting something, having a drink, having some fruits, whatever it is, the halacha is that it's okay. You're also even allowed to have mezenis if it's less than the shir of a kibeya, around 2 kazesim. We're going to be speaking of kazesim matzahs, right? It's a big topic. But that's all within half an hour. So within half an hour, we're more lenient. You're allowed to taste things. You're allowed to have a little bit. As soon as it hits Tzeisek Yechavim, even on that, one should be careful not to eat anything. You should be fully focused on getting ready for B'dikas Chametz. What happens if Pashat Nafshi Chashka B'Torah, I couldn't hold myself back, and I opened the Sefer and I started learning? Everyone has this problem here, right? Imagine that. How can you not have Seder L'Kutei Sichos? I'm going to go learn, right? B'dikas Chametz is going to wait. We got to learn. So what happens if you had such a hero? They went ahead and that's what they did. Is he mechuyev to be mafsik? Does he have to stop? Or can he continue doing his limud Torah and he'll get to his b'dikas chametz after? So the truth is, it's a machlekes. There's 2 shittas brought down in the Shulchan Aruch. Can you imagine that? Right? There's a shitta that tells you have to stop learning. Everyone's going to cash in on this shitta, and you're going to copy and paste it through other areas in your life. No? Im Hizchel tzarich lahafsik. As I state, no? You just take those words. Don't take it out of context. Right? So the halacha is that Amos says we have to be machmer and you have to stop and you have to go straight to the b'dikas chametz. Obviously, it doesn't mean to stop and go shopping and doing your errands. Stop, but you have to go do b'dikas chametz. Okay, beautiful. If you did not make b'dikas chametz bizman, you're very, very entitled. You were samech on the other shitta which allows you to learn, and you continue learning through the night. Imagine that, right? It happens. It's a big challenge that we all have to face. The Shishu, we learn Torah the entire night. And you realized, oy vey, I completely forgot to make b'dikas chametz. What do I do? The halacha is that all of the restrictions that you had up until now actually are still going to apply. You can't eat, technically. Not technically, that's halacha. You can't eat. You have to make sure that you're fully focused on being the kind of mitzvah. You can't learn, you can't do anything. You have to run straight to fulfill the takana of Chazal to check for chametz. Famous machlokes, and it happens. It's very, very fascinating. Every single year, you see who learned it and who didn't. What comes first, Ma'ariv or b'dikas chametz? Right? If there's a Ma'ariv, let's say 9:30 p.m., you're going to see whoever shows up to that Ma'ariv, Taka didn't see what you have to do. Right? It's a cute way of learning who did Chazar or not. So there's a big machlokes. What do you do? Or maybe there's samech on the other shitta. You know, it will be. We'll say it like that. There's a big machlokes. What do? You daven Ma'ariv first, or you have to do b'dikas chametz. So, if a person always davens b'yichidus, if a person always davens by themselves, they don't go to shul for whatever reason, the Chak Yankiv paskins that you should daven in advance. You should daven by yourself first. And he gives a very, very strong reasoning for his psak. The reason is tader v'she'enei tader kaidam. And we know that actually this is midiraisa. Something which is tader comes, the fact that something which is more frequent comes before something else which is less frequent, this is actually minatayra. So he says pashut, tader v'she'enei tader kaidam. You daven ma'ariv every single, ma'ariv comes up once a day, no matter what. Ma'ariv is going to come first, even if you're davening b'yichidus. But that doesn't apply over here. But we're speaking in the halachim, right? Everyone davens with minyan. So, the Alter Rebbe actually takes a different approach. The Alter Rebbe says if you daven b'yichidus, you have to do b'dikas chametz first, and we'll explain how the Alter Rebbe gets around the tader v'sheni tader kaidem. However, the Alter Rebbe says if you have a minyan kavua, if you have a set time to daven ma'ariv, then you should daven ma'ariv with a minyan, and then you'll go do your b'dikas chametz. But if you don't daven with the minyan, if you don't have a set minyan that you daven by, how is Alter Rebbe going to answer the very, very valid taina, the very valid point of the Chak Yaakov? So he says a very, very beautiful nukod. He says like this: B'dikas chametz is not like any other mitzvah. B'dikas chametz is zmano, the actual zman to be mekayim the mitzvah is by tzeis hakechavim. Right? The actual time, it's not pshat that it starts by tzeis hakechavim. No. The mitzvah itself is by tzeis hakechavim. If you didn't do it, you're able to be mashlam, you're able to still fulfill your obligation, but really you should be doing it mamish by this man of tzeis hakechavim. So therefore, if it's a mitzvah shezman oiveres, if it's a mitzvah which the time is going to run out, right? If you missed tzeis hakechavim, you missed it. So therefore, that's going to override. That's going to come before tader v'she'enei tader. So therefore, if you're davening b'yichidus, usually you have to do b'dikas chametz first. Then you daven ma'ariv. If you have a set minyan, the halacha is that you daven with your set minyan, and then you go do b'dikas chametz. What about setting a shemer? Right? Everyone always shmira. We always are looking into. If I can't, I'm going on mivtzoyim, right? I can't light my menorah b'zman. So I set a shemer, right? I do that's shmira, right? It comes up all the time in many, many different sugyas. So there's Alter Rebbe over here. In the Kodesh Achrin, the Alter Rebbe writes that a shemer is only going to help you if you're learning Torah. But if you're going to run an errand, if you're going to go eat, if you're going to do something else, to be memana, to point a shemer is not going to be good enough. You should go do b'dikas chametz, unless you're learning. If you're learning, then technically a shemer helps. Lavdaf is it the best thing to do, but al pi halacha, if you're learning and you put a shemer, then it's going to be good enough. What bracha do you make on b'dikas chametz? I'll say the Shulchan Aruch. So in the Shulchan Aruch itself, it's cross-referencing a little bit between each other. So there's a few things, not mamish on the seder, but Mirz Hashem will explain everything. So before you're starting a b'dikas chametz, you have to make a bracha asher kedushan b'mitzvos v'tzivonu al bir chametz, on the destruction, pasha to destroy, to get rid of the chametz. That's the nusach bracha. Famous question every single year. You're going to read the nusach. You're going to say, 1 second, I'll be a chametz. I'm not doing that now, right? I'm only doing b'dikas chametz. Famous teretz. The answer is because your whole b'dikas chametz is not a tachlis for itself. It's not a purpose for itself. The entire purpose of the b'dika is in order to destroy it. So now you're doing the aschalos a mitzvah. You're getting started with the mitzvah al manas that obviously you're going to destroy the chametz afterwards. Right? Because if you do b'dikas chametz, you didn't get rid of it, you didn't do anything with it, you set it aside and you left it the entire Pesach, it's not going to help you anything. It's you didn't do the mitzvah. So therefore, you're making the bracha for the tachlis, for the end result of the mitzvah. If you made the bracha levar chametz, to destroy chametz, not al bir chametz, halacha is your yetzer, you have fulfilled your mitzvah is good. There's a famous halacha brought down from the Marashal, one of the Rishonim, a contemporary of the Beis Yosef. Everyone's familiar with the Beis Yosef. He was the author of the Shulchan Aruch, and the Marshal and the Beis Yosef did not really get along. If anybody looks into the Ksavim, the Marshal did not agree that there should be such a sefer called the Shulchan Aruch. Can you imagine that? He says, why? He says, you're going to make a bunch of mistakes. You didn't learn the Sugya. You're going to read Piskei Halachas. You're going to make a bunch of mistakes in the understanding of the halacha. You're going to come out with opposite conclusions of what the halacha really is. He says you have to go to the Gemara, you have to learn the Rishonim, and you have to pasha learn the Sugya, and then you have to. That's how you pass it. Otherwise, it's not good. It's not valid. So they didn't get along. But the Shulchan Aruch not him himself quotes him, but the Marshal makes his way many, many times into the Yisrael or the Shulchan Aruch, and the Marshal writes that there's a special minhag, there's a special proper conduct that one should wash their hands before making the b'dikas chametz. Pashut, that the mitzvah should be done with the kiyos, right? But you wash your hands before any mitzvah, right? There's before eating bread, but that's for a different reason. But any time before you're putting on tefillin, before you're davening, there's a mitzvah to wash one's hands. So over here, it's brought down from the Marshal that one should wash their hands as well. What happens if you are very, very pressured? Does it ever happen to anyone? You feel pressure? You have to get the b'dikas chametz done, right? And you're under a lot of lachats. You push it, you got to get it done, right? There's so much on your to-do list. Sometimes it could happen, you start your b'dikas chametz, but you didn't make your bracha. So the halacha is, kol zman, the entire time that you did not finish your b'dikas chametz, the halacha is you're still able to make a bracha, and then you continue with your b'dikas chametz. Now, what happens if you're so taught in the mitzvah, you were taught it before? Anyone have stress over here? Or life is good? Which time life is good, right? Some people, there's such a thing called stress, right? A person is very, very stressed, they're pasha tense, and they're getting ready for b'dikas chametz, they need to get it over with, right? They have a big anxiety to get things done. So there's an anxiety of getting things done. Then during the actual b'dikas chametz, you're also tense. And sometimes you forget to make the bracha entirely. So what do? Right? We know there's a famous Mishnah that you're not allowed to take truma when you're not wearing clothing. Why not? What's the problem? The problem is because you're not allowed to make a bracha in such a state, right? So that we see there's an issa not to fulfill a mitzvah without making the bracha. It's a very, very big union that you have to make a bracha, you have to thank the Eibishter, birchas mitzvahs, you have to thank the Eibishter that you have the ability to perform such a mitzvah. So what happens if you forgot to thank Hashem for this wonderful opportunity to connect to Hashem and to fulfill His will? So as a machlekes, if you're able to still make the bracha when you're doing the bir chametz itself, when you're actually burning the chametz. So, Allah l'maisa, being that there's a machlekes, we always know that safek bracha is l'hakel, and what you do is you make it b'lei Shem u'malchus, or you can think Hashem's name. That's an eitzah given in the pasuk according to the sheet of the Rambam. Are you thinking being maharer Hashem's name? That's actually as if you said it. And so Allah l'maisa, you say Baruch Asher Kedishanu b'Miseis V'Tzivanu. Anyone remember the bracha? It's part of the test. Rabbi Lefkowitz didn't tell you he's going to be a test after. So Al Bir Chametz. Oh, beautiful, Givaldik. Very, very good. Okay, very, very good. It's very, very important. Once the bracha is made, so now we're talking about somebody's not so tense. Somebody's more relaxed, everything's okay, life is good, he's not going to forget to make the bracha, he knows to look in the siddur beforehand, right? I don't know if I can say normal person. I think today every normal person is stressed, and people are not stressed, or normal people are, it's the opposite today, right? So you have somebody who didn't forget to make the bracha. He's a non-stressed person, right? He took the siddur, he did it properly, he wasn't under pressure, he made the bracha, but he has to be careful that as soon as he makes the bracha, he should not be misasik with anything else. He should go straight to fulfilling the mitzvah. Right, today there was quite a few pictures going around on WhatsApp with the phone, right? So davening v'chulu with the phone, so he has to be careful that no. You make the bracha, you don't go on your phone. You go straight to being kind of mitzvah. If you're mafsik, shaleimi inyane b'dika, if you start doing other things which are not related to the b'dikas chametz, the halacha is that you have to make another bracha. But if you're mafsik, in yoneh b'dika, you ask, I forgot to get the nair, I forgot to get the feather, whatever it is, then the halacha is you do not need to make another bracha. What happens if, Baruch Hashem, you own a lot of real estate and you have a few houses? Right?
Before you find.
What?
Before you find.
Doesn't make a difference. The mitzvah is not to find, the mitzvah is to search. The mitzvah is to search. So what happens if you own a few places? You have your store, you have your office, you have a bunch of places you're doing b'dikas chametz, right? Or you have a few homes, or you have a garage. So the shaila is, do you have to make a new bracha on every single new property, or are you able to pater all of your properties with one bracha? This is negate to every single person over here, right? So it's obviously no. Can you guess what the answer is? Machlekes. You should know. And if you're ever asked a question in halacha, if you answer machlekes mistama, 99% right? You can't say 100%, it's a machlokes. You can't, but chances are you're going to be right if you answer machlokes. The answer is it's a machlokes. There's a famous Magen Avraham in Hilchos Tzitzis. What happens if you put on your talus over here and you walked being bias labayis, you walked from this house from your house to the shul, and you did not wear your talus. Let's put the tzitzis on the side. You didn't have your tzitzis for whatever reason. The Magen Avraham writes that halicha mi bias labayis is considered a hefsek. So the question is, are you going to apply that principle of the Magen Avraham over here? Or are you going to say, no, what are you talking about? This was the entire purpose of the takana that Chazal made. Right? Chazal said you have to check all of your properties. It's not a hefsek. By you walking to the next location, that is what Chazal intended when you made your original bracha. That's what you're obligated to do. Right? So that's a famous machlokes. Halacha l'maisa, obviously you're not going to make another bracha because safek bracha is l'hakel. You do not make another bracha. However, you have to be careful not to be mafsik from one house to the next house. You have to continue fully the shenichu, koshebrichu, shchinute. You have to mamish go with the kavana as you're walking. That it's the shem mitzvah of the biggest chametz. I don't know if you have to take it that far. Just don't be mafsik. Don't go to Home Depot and buy last minute things. Go straight to where you have to go to be able to fulfill the mitzvah of b'dikas chametz. What happens if, so we spoke about earlier who the obligation falls on. So we said it falls on the balabayis. If there is no balabayis, it falls on the isha. If the woman is the head of the household, whoever it is. So what happens if you have a bunch of people staying there for Pesach, right? Who makes the bracha? Everyone's technically fulfilling the mitzvah. So the teretz is that one bracha is recited, everybody listens to your bracha, and they go ahead and they fulfill b'dikas chametz. They're going to go around to all the rooms. After they hear your bracha, they should go straight to check to the areas that you allocated to them, that you gave to them to check. What happens if, imagine that, they have to start a new service. You have a shliach l'chatchila doing the b'dikas chametz for you. Right? So that's a halach in Shulchan Aruch that you could appoint a shliach to do the b'dikas chametz. If you want to start a new business, can open a new service. L'chatchila, we're offering shluchim to do b'dikas chametz for you.
It's mandatory to, if you're saying something else, it's mandatory to be assigned during search, or it's a fun?
No, as long as the end result is there, as long as everything's checked, you're fine. It's just easier to assign people other places. But imagine this, okay? Remember, whoever's going to open this business, it all started here. You're going to start a new service. You're going to offer shluchim to be mekayim the mitzvah of b'dikas chametz for you, okay? So one of the questions is going to be, who makes the bracha, the balabayis or the shliach? They're going to find it out. The halacha is that the shliach, just like you're being memaneh him on being mekayim the mitzvah, you're also giving him the shlichus to make the bracha as well. So.
But that's one shliach for every place. What if you have a different shliach? You have a lot of property in different places, and you have 6 different shluchim.
Oh, very, very good. So if he didn't hear your bracha, and he's going to now go to a completely different property, he's going to make it. If he didn't hear it, and he's your shliach to check over there, you're not checking over there. It's not so geshmak at all to do it like that. It's better he should hear it from you, and then go and check. But
it's in a different city.
If it's in a different city, are you going to be there for Pesach? You should sell it. If it's in a different city, then in a chanami, he has to check it. Technically, it's mamish, it's a chiyuv for itself. You'll make a bracha. It's a whole different place. Wow. Yep. We know the famous minhag, which is the famous custom which is brought al pi Kabbalah to put 10 pieces of chametz, right? 10 pieces of bread. Everybody knows this. It's a davar apashut that the halacha is that we don't search for the 10 pieces of bread only. Of course, you have to find them, otherwise you're in big trouble. But the mitzvah is to search for chametz. There's a special, separate inyan not connected to the mitzvah of because chametz to find 10 pieces. But if you're just looking for the 10 pieces, then many poskim write that the bracha that was recited is actually a bracha levatala. You didn't do the mitzvah, right? The mitzvah is to check the house. And if you didn't check the house, then how are you? If you didn't check the house, then you missed out. You didn't do the mitzvah. The 10 pieces, this time is to be mekayim in inyan. And ad kedei kach, if you checked, and you searched, and you performed the b'dikas chametz properly, and you did not find anything, the halacha is it's not a bracha levatala, halacha l'maisa. Why not? Because the mitzvah is not to find. The mitzvah is to search. Right? So if we're going to see the halacha is you have to clean your house beforehand. If you did a very, very good kibud abayis, if you did a very, very good cleaning, if you did a spring cleaning, not just for chametz, you mamish went all out, there's probably not going to be any chametz. Sometimes there's always surprises. You do find things, but there are sometimes you don't find anything. It depends on how well you clean it in advance. So the halacha is that your bracha is actually not a bracha levatala. Now imagine that. You searched and you didn't find anything. Check. You're good to go. Your bracha is not a bracha levatala. You did everything halacha. Now imagine that if somebody only searched for the 10 pieces and they found, right? They get the prize at the end. It's a bracha levatala. Because the mitzvah is to search the house. The mitzvah is not to find 10 pieces. Okay, let's get to the next step. So I told you it's going to be... we just covered the halachas of making the bracha, but we actually have to go back a little bit, back in time. The Ramah writes a very, very important halacha, and everybody's Rebbitzin over here is going to be extremely happy with one part of this halacha. The halacha is that on Yom Yud Gimel, not this year it's going to be earlier, the halacha is mechabdin es habayis, we actually clean out the house, kaidem b'dika. Why? So when it's going to come time to fulfill b'dika's chametz, it's going to be an easier job. You're going to have a much easier time. You're going to be able to find whatever you need. So why are they going to be happy? Mechabdin es habayis, it's a great thing. You're cleaning the house. The problem is that Ramah writes it's b'yom Yud Gimel. It's too late. They're already starting far in advance, right? So how much can you do already in one day? So the teretz is obviously whatever. The halacha is you do Yom Yud Gimel, kol hamakdim harei meisa b'shalom bayis. No, as I steht in Sifrei Musa. Okay, very, very good. So the halacha is you have to clean the house before. In the Shulchan Aruch, you're only obligated to clean it out the day before. Obviously, most people are doing this beforehand. Fine. Dikas chametz le'er haner. We mentioned earlier the lashon of the Mishnah is that we're searching for chametz le'er haner, and the Gemara tells us that it's v'lei le'er levana. You cannot do it to the light of the moon. Why? Because the light of a candle is yafel b'dika. Er haner is yafel b'dika. The best way to search is with the light of a candle. What about flashlights? Are flashlights good enough? So it's a big discussion in the poskim. Many are actually lenient l'chatchila. You can use a flashlight, no problem. This is the approach of a certain sect of poskim, Rav Yosef, V'siyate, v'chulu, right? You always, in any shaila in Allah, you're going to know who's going to say what. You're usually going to see which Paisik is going to take which kav. It was the same thing back in the day. You know the kav of the Native Yehuda, he was always going to take one kav, the Chassam Sefer would take another kav. And you'll see every single shaila how it's going to play out because each Paisik is going to go l'shitasa. So when it comes to this, it's going to be the same guess which group of poskim are going to say what. So you have the more Spanish poskim, the Chacham Avadia, right, V'siyate, and those who follow in his Piskei Halachas, they're much more lenient. You can even make a bracha on a flashlight. It's great. Flashlight is yafel b'dika, 100% of the hadrin. Many other poskim say you can use it, but you can't make a bracha on it. Why not? Because the Maisa Chazal and Masakin to do it er there. That is Tikkun Chazal. That is the way that Chazal Masakin to do the mitzvah. So for the bracha, you should use a candle, and you should start searching with a candle. Areas where it's hard to find, or it's hard to search with a candle, so you should use a flashlight under your bed. You don't want to burn down your bed. In your car, it's also difficult to search with a candle, right? You have beautiful seats, you don't want to get them dirty. Or your chairs in your living room, your dining room, your couch. Oh, we're going to speak about it. You have to check your couch and chulum. So
the car you have to do at night?
Sorry?
The car you have to do at night?
You have to do it at night. Technically, you can do it before. We're going to speak about it. Technically, you could do certain areas before this man, and you check your gates are there. Lav dafka, if you're doing it by day, the pasuk write, open all the doors, open all the windows, open your sunroof, and it has a din of an achsadra. And that's it, you check. It's fully open, and you check it that way. And we'll get to that as well. So again, the prevalent accepted opinion amongst the contemporary poskim is the Ramesha, the Igros Meisha, the Siyatam, is that you make the bracha on a proper candle, and you start searching it with the candle in the areas where it's difficult to search with the candle, then you'll switch to a flashlight. Okay, beautiful. What do you need to search? Which areas do you need to search? So I once heard a story from somebody who was spending Pesach in Bnei Brak, and they were staying by Rabbi Yehuda Leib Landau, Olav Shalom, right, the Rav of Bnei Brak, and there was a machlokes poskim between the Rebbetzin and the Rav, what you have to check. She told him to clean on top of the ACs. He's a guest. He listened to what the hostess said. He got up on the ladder and he started cleaning on top of the AC. Rabbi Landau walks in, starts screaming at him, "What are you, crazy? That's where you have to check. Well, who's bringing chametz? Are you crazy? Like, you got a nutcase off the street to stay by us for Pesach? What's going on here?" Or maybe he said, "I'm Aretz," I don't know, but he thought the guy probably landed from nowhere. Okay, the Rav said, he got down. Guess what? 2 minutes later, guess who comes back? The Rebbetzin. Starts screaming back at him, "What are you doing? I told you to clean the AC." So big machlokes and poskim. Obviously the Rebbetzin wins because the Rav stepped out of the room, so he continued cleaning. But what were they arguing about? They were arguing about the halacha of kol makom shemachlis, in any place where you actually machlis chametz, there you're obligated to search for chametz. It's pretty clear in the Shulchan Aruch that it's not just a place where it's a vadai, where it's certain that you brought in chametz, even if it's a safek, even if it's questionable whether or not chametz was brought into it. There's a possibility that you brought into their chametz. The halacha is you still have to check it. Let's get to some practical examples. You have a storage, you have a place, or you have an arin, you have a, how would you say it, where you keep your clothing, whatever it is, or you keep it for storage, but there's no way, first of all, you don't keep any chametz there. Second of all, it's not a place that you're going to go in the middle of your seudah to go get chametz, to take anything from there. It's not the derech, it's not the normal thing to do, right? So any such area, you're not obligated to do because chametz. Your potter, it's a place you can welcome she'em achris by chametz. Also, there's no chash, there's no concern that maybe in the middle of your seudah, you took your bread, you went to that place, you take something. The halacha is you don't have to check it. However, obviously, it's a place, it's a cellar, a wine cellar. That's where you get your wine from. Right? You had a big farbrengen, and you ran out of wine, you ran out of mashka, whatever it is. Well, mashka itself is mechayiv b'dikas chametz. Can I tell you a secret? Is mashka really vodka? Well, let's speak about that specifically. Is that really chametz? Majority of vodka in America is made from corn alcohol. That doesn't mean you should drink it. It's still kidneys. But roiv vodkas are made from corn alcohol. So technically, if you had your vodka, which is corn alcohol, most likely plain vodka, it's taken out chametz. But that was off the record, and we're not going to speak about it. But let's move on to whatever. You want to get some wine. You want to get something, and it's very possible that you have your cookies with you. You're in the middle of a farbrengen, and so such areas, obviously, you're obligated to do b'dikas chametz. So if there's any possibility, you went there with bread, cookies, anything else, you have to check that area for chametz. Your bedroom where you sleep, your beds, your closets, your dressers, anything where it's not the derech to bring in chametz, afilu ba'akroi, even if it's a once in a blue moon thing, you're not obligated to do b'dikas chametz. So if you ever eat snacks on your bed, chances are you probably changed your linen and you washed it, and probably since then, lav dafka did you eat chametz, so most likely you're still going to be potter, but lav dafka in your bedroom is it a place that you're mechuyev to check. Obviously, if you know for a fact that you regularly eat chametz, you bring in chametz, it's a normal thing to do. You have kids that are running around, they're allowed to bring food upstairs into your rooms, and they're having cookies and all that, then obviously you have to check that place for chametz. What about your car? So the car is definitely probably the place that has the most chametz outside of your kitchen. No? You're eating, you're crumbing, things are happening, you have kids in the car. It's number one place to find chametz. Obviously, with bli shum safek klal uklal, you have an obligation to clean out your car if you're going to be using it for Pesach, and to do b'dikas chametz afterwards as well. If you're selling your car, you can't use it. It's a catch-22. If you want to get away from not doing b'dikas chametz, you can't have to sell it. But if you're selling it, it's sold to the guy. Right? So if you want to use it, you have to make sure that it's clean, and you did b'dikas chametz, and you're allowed to go ahead and use it. If you have a backyard, if you have a porch. So kol zman, you don't know for a fact that there was chametz, it's only a safek. It's questionable. Maybe there was chametz, maybe there wasn't chametz. The halacha is you don't have to do b'dikas chametz. Why not?
On a car cycle, there's so many areas hard to get to.
So we'll speak about it. What happens if you can't reach certain areas? Yeah, it's a very, very, very good question. In Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to get to that. So backyards, porches, you don't know for a fact that there's chametz there. It's a safek. The halacha is, we're, especially in New York, we're told that all the animals got to it. It's a safek. So on a safek, we can be told, we can say that animals got to it, they ate it, they took care of it. But if you know for a fact, you know 100% bevados, that 100% you ate chametz, you dropped your pizza there, whatever it is, then you have an obligation to search for it, to check it, and to make sure that it's no longer there. Checking your floor. What do? You just mop it, right? What is there to do already? That's actually a very valid time in halacha. The halacha is that if your floor is 100% smooth, and there's no holes in your floor, you don't have to do anything, assuming that you cleaned it, and there's no actual concern of big pieces. Why? Because even if there's any crumbs, by you stepping on it, Drisas HaRegel is actually mevayir, that is enough to destroy those pieces of the chametz. Whatever was there, it's a normal, first of all, you mopped it, and whatever possibly could have been left, by you stepping on it, that is the bir chametz which takes care of it. What happens if you have a very, very holy floor? There's a lot of libud atayra that happen, but there's also physical holes done which are in the floor. You have a wooden floor, there's partial holes. So what do? The halacha is you actually have to search for them, you have to clean it out, but you only go ad malkum shiad nagas, you only go as far as you're able to reach. The rest, you're mevatalit, and that's it. The same thing is, any area where you cannot reach, right, you can't reach it. So the halacha is you have to go as far as you're able to go, and you're mevatel the rest of it. The Paulus can bring an eitzah, a chumrah, a hidden, not something you're obligated to do, but you should spray a pagan, you should spray something that is going to be disqualify it from achilas kelev. It's going to make it not fit for a dog to eat. Whatever, you put some bleach, you put some Windex, whatever it is, you spray it. It's not right achilas kelev. It's not an obligation. Many of the later poskim they base it off of Mechem Shulchan Aruch, by Tav B'tit, whatever. If you can reach something, you cover it up. So it's not an obligation. If you want to, it's a beautiful thing. You can spray it. If not, if you're not able to do so, you mevatel it, v'dayeh, and you are good to go. Oh, very good. We're going to speak about that as well. Any area which is high up, you're not obligated to check. Obviously, if you don't put anything there, if you know for a fact you put something on top of the shafas, so you should check it. But if it's not a place which usually things are kept, it's completely high up there, you don't use it, and then the halacha is you don't have to check it. Low places, technically, ikar adin, you don't have to check. The good problem is, if there's kids in the house, it's not going to help you anything. There's obviously chametz which got stuck there, and you have to check for it. So it's not going to help you. Kalim gedalim, big kalim, which we were just asked by a radiator, whatever it is. So you have to check a very, very heavy kalim. So this is a question which is discussed in contemporary poskim. If you have a fridge, if you have an oven, you have very, very heavy kalim that you don't lift usually. The halacha is that you're not obligated to lift it. It's considered as if it's mavor. You mevatel it, you leave it, and you don't touch it. Now, what happens if every single week, every few weeks, once a month, you clean underneath it? You takadum with it. It's not a heavy keli, but you are makpid to clean underneath. Then the halacha is you actually have to move it, you have to clean it and make sure that there is no chametz there. Okay.
Behind the fridge, you don't normally move it, but you know your kids throw their crumbs. You know for sure.
So usually you can get it with a broom. You can scoop it out. You push it to be a little bit rough, and then pull it out. Usually you pull it out. Whatever you see you can't reach, you experience it. There is a chiyuv. It's a vada. You know for sure it's there. Sure. What about belongings? So. Sure. You're not your hanger. You're what's it called? Your broom. It's takmagas. Sure. It's an extension of your yad. We have in Chosbeir, and a bunch of places that it's feasible to get. It's so to speak. You're able to get to it, then you do it. But the reality is, the fridges. Many people. I don't want to get into many people. Some people they do move the fridges to clean it. Once in a blue moon, you have a cleaning lady. She does do it. So, you should, if the fridge is not so heavy, it's not going to ruin your floor, at least the back, to make sure that you covered any chametz in the back.
Is there a chiyuv whatsoever to do b'dikas chametz? You're leaving, you just lock up everything?
Oh, famous machlokes. We'll speak about it. Oh, beautiful. Is a chiyuv gavra? Is a chiyuv chetz on the house? Beautiful. Oh, famous machlokes. Mechaber Ramah, if it's a chiyuv gavra, and if you're selling everything, it's another machlokes. We'll speak about it in Hashem. Let's go to items. Items that need to be checked for chametz. So the Mechaber writes in the Shulchan Aruch in Sif Gimel, Tavcham Gimel, Yana Beide Kol Mekayim Sheshlochu Shema Yichnisu B'hem Chametz. Obviously, Davar HaPoshet, it's not just physical places; it's anywhere where it's shaykh to be chametz, and all the poskim extend this to items as well. So any place where there is a chash, there is chametz, so high chairs. If you have a high chair, it's molei v'godesh with chametz. I promise you. Check it out. You're going to see that you're going to need a wipe, you're going to need to scrub it sometimes, right? So there's a perfect example of an object, technically. It's a keli, but it's not a mokum, it's a keli that you need to check, you have to clean it, a carriage, a couch, a briefcase, a suitcase, all of these things that you keep snacks there, you carry things with you, you need to check. Your suit, if you ever put food in your pockets without a bag, as well you have to check. We're going to speak about it. It's actually brought down to check your pockets after the bittul, we're going to speak about that. Svarim, imagine that. If you have a lot of svarim, what do? Yeah, it's a lot of work. And if you're going to go through every single sefer, how much do you actually have to do? So, there's a big machlokes. If there's a chiyuv, there's an obligation to do b'dikas chametz on crumbs. It's a machlokes. The halacha is me'ikra din, you don't have to check such places. However, it's brought down that Yisrael Kedoshim Yidden are very, very holy, and they go ahead and they still check these areas. However, Ikar Adin, you don't have to check Sfarim, but there is room to check. There is room in halacha to be machmir to check Sfarim. Now, what is the pshara made by many of the Gedolei Poskim? And you have a Meiser Rav from quite a few Gedolei Yisrael. They only cleaned the Sfarim that they used by this order. That's it. You have a beautiful pshara. So if you're sitting, mamish yemu alayla, you're learning, and you can't get your hands off the svarim in the middle of your meals, you're pulling out the svarim, you're sitting and learning, okay, you talk about a problem, you have to check everything, or whatever it's, but if you don't, you're not obligated to. It's makom she'ei mechnisa b'chametz, unfortunately. It's a place that it's something you're not using, that's the unfortunate part, and memela, you're not obligated to check for chametz. Cookbooks is a standard absolute must. Either you sell it or you check it, you clean it out. I don't know why you need it if it's a chametz cookbook, but included in your sale. Anything which is your benchers, the cholo, that technically if you're using it, most people are selling it, you're only using agodas to bench. It's too risky to use benches from the year. Technically, if you want to use it, you have to check it, you have to clean it out, you can't just leave it the way it is. Your phone, your laptops, and other kelim. I think it's safe to assume your phone comes in contact with food. No, if the picture that they were posting today is emes that even comes out b'shas tefillah, I think it's safe to say it even comes out b'shas achila as well. No, we can make such a kal v'chemer. No, this time I think we could. Right. So when you're eating, Mizman, you pull out your phone, and I think it's a no-brainer that some crumbs got stuck in there, or your thumb was even dirty, and you actually touched your phone, and then some peirudin, some crumbs got stuck in your case, it's definitely a must that you have to clean out your phone, you have to check it out, just wipe it down, make sure it's clean, and then that's it. Make sure it doesn't come in contact with any food afterwards, you're good to go. A laptop is the same thing. If you have a tablet, all of these things are always with you. You're working with it. You have food by there. It's something that you should wipe down and make sure that it's clean. And garbage cans. In New York City, garbage cans are the worst. You know why? If you don't take your garbage back, okay, depends if whatever. If you have a house, or if you just put it with the communal garbage, whatever it is. But for all those who are putting out pachi ashpa, if you're putting out pashut garbage bins, you know what happens? If you don't take it back right away, all the people that walk by are throwing all the garbage into your bin. And you come home and you see some bottles of beer, you see some cookie wraps, you see mamish, chametz, the best of the best, right? You have to be careful, you have to clean it out, make sure that before Pesach you clean it out, you scrub it down, make sure there's no chametz left. Famous question, what happens if you only put out your chametz after the zman? Or you put it, before the zman, but the collection is only taking place after the zman. It's a shayla that happens every single year. The eitzah brought down in the poskim is, you take it over a pagim, you pour it into your garbage bag, you make sure that everything is nifsal b'achilas kelev. It's not enough the fact that it's in the garbage, because if it's in the garbage, the dog still is going to eat it. You have to put a, whatever bleach, you have to put something strong that's actually going to destroy it, that it's not usable for a dog. Sorry? Can you? Giving it up, meaning mevatel it? So we're not saying it by itself. We're never saying midiraisa, yeah. But so you know what? It's actually an interesting point you're bringing up. There are certain cities that it doesn't belong to you. Your garbage man, your bins, they don't belong to you. It belongs to the city, right? And here in New York, they make you pay for it. They put their logo on it, but it's yours. They still have to have their name on it. In certain cities, it actually belongs to the city. So that's much easier. You're putting it on public rishus, you mafked it, it's not yours, and it's in a keli which belongs to the government. Many poskim are making on that. If it's your bin still, many poskim are, because it's your bin, many poskim are still mafked that you should pour a detergent, whatever, anything which is going to ruin it, it's no longer going to be able to be used.
What about a dumpster from a collections place? Yankel's rubbish.
Yankel's rubbish.
I mean, that's not an example because Yankel sounds Jewish, but Joshua's rubbish.
Also,
renting bin.
Oh, you're renting from the guy?
Yeah, and then you have to pay a contract once a week to come to pick it up.
So you have to sell it. You include it in your sale. We include in the sale technically that, and you don't use it. It belongs to the guy.
Putting your garbage into that kind of bin before.
But who's like you're the one renting it from the person?
I don't know how it works.
If you're renting it and it's your rishus that you're renting from the guy, it's still yours. So you should still put it over a pagim and let them pick it up. But if it belongs to the guy,
they consider it yours. They don't want you walking off with it.
It's yours that in the sense that you have the rishus to be mishtamish, meaning to say it's yours le'inyan zeh.
Got it.
You don't own it, but it's your the schus hashtamshus is still yours, and le'inyan zeh is still going to be considered yours.
During Pesach, you have to check for wrappers.
Check for
Wrappers, they're going to go in.
That's an interesting question, right? What do you do on Pesach? You're putting out garbage, and so technically, in Taf and Ches, the halachas discuss this din. Usually we say that chatzah is kind of for you, but it's only things that you want. But we're not chavel. Why? Because a person's not going to want to be kind of something that's not good for them. So the Rishonim, the Rashba, the Rosh, they write that not technically, the halacha is it's chavel. It's considered chavel, that it's not a good thing. So you're not kind of if they put it on your property during Pesach. Just whatever, they put it in, you dump it out. It's not yours, you leave it on the street, you'll get a ticket, or you won't, or you'll just kick it off onto the street, you figure it out. Make sure that you're not acquiring it. The Rosh writes, it's also proper to actually verbalize, I don't want to be kind of it. It's not mine, I'm not making a kinyan of it. Okay. Let's speak about one more thing, and then we're going to go to the sugya of this year. We'll speak about shiurim, of what to eat, some medicine, medication, and then I think we'll finish that. Unless anyone wants to sit for another 2-3 hours. We have a lot to speak about. Okay, this year, let's jump straight to it. Actually, one more thing, I'm sorry. What happens if you are not home? You're staying somewhere else, you are a guest by somebody, what do you do with your apartment? Are you mechuyev to do b'tikas chametz? That was one of the questions which was asked, and it's probably one of the most common questions, besides if you're allowed to take this and this vitamin. Those two are probably the most common questions. So, the halacha is, if you're selling your entire property, are you obligated to check it? Are you obligated to do b'tikas chametz? The halacha is that if you're selling the entire property, you're selling your entire house, even though you're going to be home for the b'tikas chametz, b'ikar adin, you're potter, you're not obligated to do b'tikas chametz. You're potter. Why? Because when it's going to come, the zman isser, it's not going to be yours anymore. The Chai Adam says, no, the kinyan the sale didn't happen yet, it's still yours, you have to check. The halacha is, like obviously, like it's a tzedek. Many point out that you don't want to be mafkiring yourself the night of b'tikas chametz. The entire Klal Yisrael is checking for chametz. You're going to be sitting around Yesh Shabbat, you're not going to be checking for chametz. So if you're going to be home and you're only traveling the next day, many poskim write, leave over a small section, make a bracha, and search for chametz in that area, and you're good to go. Are you obligated to do so? Technically not. If you sell everything, you're good to go. Now what happens if you sell everything and then you're going to leave before b'dikas chametz? So you don't have to do b'dikas chametz before you leave if everything is going to be sold. But now the question is, what are you going to do by where you're staying? Right? Everyone knows the famous machlekes. You rent out your room, you don't rent out your room, you give $1, you don't give $1. So we're going to go back to the yesod that we established earlier. Upon who falls the obligation of b'dikas chametz? The halacha is it falls on the balabayis. It falls on the owner of the house. So technically, if you are a guest by the owner, you do not have an obligation. If you are very kind and you want to volunteer your services to be a shliach to help out, the halacha is you help out, you do not make your own bracha, you get to the bracha of the balabayis, and you go search for your room. Now, what happens if you heard about a thing, I can rent out my room, I can make a bracha, so it's not so simple at all, it's a big machlekes, because you're not really renting it. First of all, nobody's renting you a place for a quarter or $1. It doesn't work that way, right? That's number one. Number two, I have a feeling they would have let you stay even if you didn't give the $1 or the quarter, right? Probably they wouldn't have kicked you out, right? So it's not a real schirus. It's not an actual schirus. That's taka a harama. Speaking about haramas, right? It's not a real schirus. So many poskim say, do not make the bracha. Still hear the bracha from the balabayis. The eitzah of $1, a quarter, whatever it is, it's cute, but many poskim are not so happy with it. Don't make the bracha, hear the bracha of the balabayis, you're not missing anything out. If you answer amen, you have the mind of the eitzah, you're beautiful.
What if he's not there?
If he's not there, beautiful, so you become a shliach. You become, you're doing it. You're back to square one, you become a shliach.
You need of doing it before, if you're home, you're leaving home before Zman, you're going somewhere else. Is there any need of doing it the day before?
Technically, there's an Indian. Some say it's a better thing to do. Leave one room that your house. If you're learning that it's a chiv on the makim, that it should be checked. If you really want, you can do it, but then you can argue back. It's being sold. So what are you gaining?
And without a bracha.
Yeah, for sure, without a bracha. Yeah. Without a bracha. The night before you're traveling, you leave one place you're not selling, and you do it without a bracha. Now, the famous question: I'm selling my place. I'm leaving. It's gone, empty, but I have somebody who wants to stay there. What do they do for b'dikas chametz? So either it's sold or you're giving it to somebody else. When you have to make up your mind. Either you're selling the whole thing to the guy, and it's a real sale. It belongs to the guy. It's not yours. So the answer is whatever you can sell, you leave over whatever they're going to be using. Obviously, take out all the chametz from that room. Generally, in guest rooms, I don't think you have to be cheshish for too much chametz or any bedrooms. So whatever they're using, they have the obligation to do b'dikas chametz. It's on them. It's not on you. Depending when the down came in. So they make, if they are staying there and they are technically, they have the keys, it's their place for whatever it is, yeah. It's and it wasn't sold, this area wasn't sold. So either they're shleich or it's partially the keys on them. Okay, Erev Pesach, Shechol is B'Shabbos, very, very important.
Ask one last question.
Sure.
Just speak for myself. I'm not going to be here, I'm going somewhere else, but tonight because chametz will be in a house that we're not going to be in Pesach.
Okay, if you're not going to be there, you don't have to do. You're in a hotel or something, you're staying by somebody, and then you're going to be somewhere else for Yom Tov. They're no, it's not on you.
Do you check? Do I go to the place I'm going to be for Pesach, or do I just check the house even if I'm not going to be there?
Oh, are you staying in that place by yourself?
I'm going to my in-laws, but then for Yom Tov, we're moving into the Chabad house.
Into the Chabad house. Is something making b'dikas chametz in the Chabad house?
Last year, the shliach asked me to help out.
To help out.
Some rules.
So technically, if nobody's going to do it, you should do it. Let's put it this way: if it wasn't done, it has to be done. Meaning, if you're going to be using it.
It's from the Bavayis of the Chabad.
True. You're Seichel Shulchan, it's his place, and you're a guest. Whatever, it has to be done. The whatever the end result has to be, that it's done.
The house also has to be checked, or the house being sold?
The house is being which house? Your house?
My in-laws' house, where I'm going to
Your
be
in-law.
back up.
Your in-laws' house, you're going to be there the night of,
Not
but it's going to be sold, right? The whole thing. No, then you don't have to check it. You don't have to check it. Okay, Erev Pesach Shechol is with Shabbos, very, very important. So we know that this year everyone's panicking. What do you do? What do you not do? Right? Shabbos, when you're very, very limited, you can't just send a WhatsApp to your friend. What do I do? What do I not do? You have to know. Hamaisa Sheyasum before Pesach comes in. So this year, B'dikas Chametz takes place one night early. It's Leil Yud Gimel. The halacha is you even make a bracha on that b'dika. You still make the bracha when you're checking for Chametz, even though it's a night earlier. After you finish the B'dikas Chametz, even though it's a night early, you still say Kol Chamira, and you mevatel all of the Chametz like you do by every single B'dikas Chametz. The Kol Chamira over here is going to be exactly the same surah, the same way you do it every single year. It's going to be exactly the same thing. Whatever you're leaving over for your Sudas, for Shabbos, whatever it is, you put it in a safe place, make sure it doesn't get lost, you set it aside, and that's it. What happens if you did not check Thursday night? The halacha is that you have to check by Yom, Bener, Ubevracha. You have to check by day, you have to take a ner, we speak about flashlights, whatever, you have to do it with a ner, and you have to still do it with a bracha. What happens if you didn't check it on Friday, when Shabbos comes in? Shabbos is still at a Pesach. What do? You're stuck, you didn't do anything, right? Imagine that. You forgot the halacha, you got to your place where you're staying for Pesach, and you realize, 1 second, the chametz of this place was not sold. Nobody made b'dikas chametz. It's a very common thing. If you don't know the halachas that you need to do b'dikas chametz wherever you're staying, it's a very common mistake to happen. But it's already Shabbos. It's an interesting machlekes in Achreinim. What do you do? What are your options in such a case? There are 4 options in Achreinim. The first one is based on Avnei Tzedek. Avnei Tzedek was the Shari Tzedek, the Avnei Tzedek, who were contemporary poskim not too long ago. So he writes a very interesting eitzah. He says, everyone in Hilchos Shabbos, in Reish and Vav, about Goy, Shehiduk Ner, Shel Yisrael B'Shabbos. He says you can ask a Goy, this is a massive Chiddush. It's a massive Chiddush. He says you can ask a Goy to turn on a light for you to do b'dikas chametz. We don't do that. Whatever, that's being semach on the Bala'ita, on the Bahag. It's a very, very, very big chiddush to do such a thing. You tell a guy to do a malach b'dei naisa, to light a candle for you, and he's going to go around with the candle with you. First of all, go find a guy that's going to do that. That is going to go around with you the entire house to make b'dikas chametz. If you find one, let me know. I just want to see such a person if they exist. It's a very hard thing to ask for. That's what?
Friday night, technically?
Friday night, technically, yeah. Friday night. Yeah. So the second option is, obviously, that you're not allowed to do so. From the Alter Rebbe comes out, you're not allowed to do so. So based on the Eisrim, many say you can be samech on the electric light. Just go with the electric light, look around. Baruch Hashem, it's pretty light, it's pretty bright. You can be samech on that, and you just do that. There are those who say, the Shas Chus Me'Mevin, he says that you should make a b'dikas chametz on Motzei Shabbos, once it's Yom Tov, when it's much easier to be light from a pre-existing flame. It's very easy. It's no isurim happening, and that's what you're going to make. Your b'dikas chametz on Yom Tov itself. There are those, the Shalom Yisrael Malacha, he brings an interesting svara. He says, a nice you clean very well. Davar Pasha, when you washed, you cleaned. Be samech on the kibbud that you did. Be samech on the cleaning that you did, and then you're going to make b'dikas chametz after Yom Tov finishes. Okay, don't forget. Halach l'maisa. Do it, and you won't run into this. If you forget, then go with the electric lights around the house, quickly check. If you don't find anything, you're good to go. Now, what happens by Bir Chametz and Seifes Chametz? So we do everything on Friday. Friday technically is not at a Pesach. At a Pesach is on Shabbos. So it's brought down that you have to still be careful to burn it before the Zman. Why? So you shouldn't come to make a mistake next year. Last year, right? Nobody keeps cheshbonos. Last year was at a Pesach, Shechalis, B'Shabbos. People only remember what they did. And if you're going to remember what you did last year, that you burnt it mamish an hour before Shabbos, you're going to come to make a mistake in the future. 1 second, I called it off. I must have called it off, and he told me to burn the chametz. It's l'chatchila okay to burn the chametz then. Whatever, you're going to come to make a big mistake in the future. The halach is you have to be careful to burn the chametz before the zman on Friday, even though it's not really at a Pesach. You do not say kol chamira on Friday. That you're going to say on Shabbos. So on Friday, you do streifas chametz, you do bir chametz, you do not yet do kol chamira. That you're going to do on the real Erev Pesach, which is on Shabbos itself. However, you could say the Yehiratzin after the Sreifa, you say the Yehiratzin, so all the Yom Ruchnim are going to be accomplished for you, you can feel good. And then the actual Kol Chamira you're going to do on Shabbos itself. Obviously that you have to be very careful to do it before the Zman, because that's real That's a real Erev Pesach. Eating chametz on Erev Pesach, which is Shabbos, the halacha is obviously you're allowed to leave over some chametz for the Seudah, aside for the nighttime meal, for the daytime meal, you're allowed to have chametz. You have to be careful, it's before the Zman. The halacha is that there are those who are medactic not to eat chametz, which makes a shiloh to the Shabbos. Okay, whatever it is, if there are such people in Yisrael Kadesh, they don't have any chashash of chametz, they have another revius of yayin, and there can be a sud on that, whatever, it is what it is, that's what you're going to do. It's not b'chlal gishmak, but whatever. How does Mechiras Chametz work on this year? Rabbi Sai, it's what?
What do you do actually?
Oh, we're going to get to it. One very, very important nekuda. How does Mechiras Chametz work in this year? And that's going to tie into what you do with the Chametz. It's a very, very, very big mistake to take Chametz that you set aside, to eat it, and then put it together with all the salt Chametz. Why is it a mistake to do that? Because Lamaisa, whatever you set aside was not included in the Mechira. And the Mechira is Chal on Friday. So Friday the sale takes place. Shabbos you're eating. Whatever you're eating was not included in the sale. So you can't just take something and put it in a very holy place called Chametz, Lachel L'Goy, whatever it is, salt L'Goy, and all of a sudden it's not yours anymore. It doesn't work that way. It's very, very important. Whatever you don't finish, you have to flush down the toilet before the Zman. Whatever you save aside for the Seudah, it's not included in the Mechira. The Mechira is Chal on Erev Shabbos. There's two Ifanim. Either the Mechira is Chal immediately, or you make it tonight, it's going to be Chal right before Shabbos. But it doesn't make a difference. It's before Shabbos comes in, because Mekach HaMamker is also for Shabbos. You can't make a kinyan and be Chal on Shabbos. Okay, that's for a different time. So, Allah L'maisa, you eat your chametz, you do whatever you have to do. Whatever is left over, you have to be very, very careful to get rid of it, to flush it down the toilet. You can't just put it away with everything else. Shachris.
Where do you eat it?
Oh, that's a very, very good point. Where do you eat it? Actually, I was going to put it Kiddush V'achil B'malkum Seudah.
Technically, that's the reason why you don't do a little chametz versus having more, so that's it.
Correct. You have whatever you need to have. Yeah. Correct. We're going to get to Kiddush V'achil B'malkum Seudah. We're going to get to that in a moment. You have to be careful. It's brought down in the Sefer Chassidim, the Al Yerabba, the Alter Rebbe, that believe it or not, you have to daven Shachris early. You cannot wake up at 10 o'clock and have a whole Shachris before. You have to be mashkin. You have to have a whole Ashkama. You have to do a early minyan for Shachris. And what happens sometimes it happens, there are certain people that wake up late. Probably, right, the Indian, you can understand such a thing happens. But sometimes there are some people that they wake up late. And you didn't wake up early, what do? So if you have time to finish a tefillah k'tzara, so to speak, what does it mean, tefillah k'tzara? The pasuk write, you said, Birchas Hashacha, Baruch She'amar, Ashrei, Nishmas, Birchas Kriyashma, Ben Esrei. Do just the bare minimum, have your Seudah, and then that Musaf, whatever is, finish off whatever you're missing. What happens if even that you don't have time to do? So what do? Are you allowed to wash before davening? No, it's a trick question. I bet you there are people that will say yes. The halacha is Rabbi Sai, you cannot wash before Shachris. We'll leave it at that. It's a chiddush to eat before Shachris, which we're very makbid to yadu, not washing. You cannot have a seudah before Shachris. The whole purpose of eating before Shachris is to give you koyach to daven. But you cannot sit down to have a seudah before you daven Shachris. So the halacha is that you daven, and you miss this man, you're not going to have any chametz, and you're going to have your seudah without challah. You miss this man, there's no such a thing as washing before Shachris, and there's no such thing as eating chametz after this man.
You have to have another revius of wine. You
have to have another revius of wine. Yeah, that's right. It's not geschmack. It's not so good. But
the actual cup of kiddush.
If you had a revius from your kiddush, that's it's better to have two. But if you have one also, it's also good. Yeah. Now, Rabbi Lefkowitz asked the Pashto Shaila, where do you eat the chametz? Why is it a very good shaila? Because the ma'aseh halacha is your kiddush and your suda have to be b'makom echad. Everything has to be done in one place. Many people are very makpid. They're careful not to eat the chametz in their house. You just cleaned it, right? It's very, very risky to start having challah by your table. So what do? They go outside. They go on the porch. So the halacha is 1 second, but you have to have kiddush b'makom suda. So the pasuk can write, if you're able to see your porch, even if it's on a chalain, even if it's through a window, that is still considered to be kiddush b'makom suda, whatever. We don't do this on a regular basis, but you'll be saving those paskim rather than take a chance to have chametz in your house.
If the porch has an extension, it has like on top a small roof.
Correct. So then that makes it easier. The only problem is there's a home chitza which is being mafsik. So if you have windows, many paskim, if you're able to see, even though there's a wall, many paskim are whatever. Some
you have in mind when you go back inside?
Sure, you have in mind that you're continuing to eat over there. The only problem is you have to. Technically, you would have to have the gazais of bread where you eat when you're going back inside. The catch is, as long as you're able to see where you had the challah, that is going to take care of that.
What do you do if you live in a building?
Stick your head out the window.
Just like some people eat the matzah with a bag, you're going to eat your challah, your pita with a bag, whatever. You'll spill the crumbs.
And Fisher has to deal with the bag.
You can eat in the hallway, technically.
In the hallway.
Yeah, but the only thing is, okay, you have to leave your door open. If you leave your door open and you can still see where you made kiddush, it's going to work. Yeah. What? Okay, there are those.
Make kiddush on the roof. You could go make kiddush where you want to.
Yeah.
Oh, kiddush. Can we make kiddush where you wash?
Yeah.
Where you have the challah.
And have in mind to continue over there.
Can you? Yes.
As long as you're able to see it.
Can you bench in a place where you can't see it?
No, we can't see it. It's not so simple. No, you have to
Can
go
you go back to
there. You have to go back there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Washing your teeth. So take a toothpick, clean out your mouth afterwards. Take a kosher, Shabbos, whatever the toothbrush they have. If you don't have it, take a dry toothbrush, but very gently. Make sure that you don't cause any bleeding in your gums. Make sure all the chametz is out. Rinse it with water. Make sure all the crumbs go down the drain. Put your chametz in a toothbrush where it belonged, sold with a guy. There's no actual chametz. You washed it off. You washed all the crumbs down the drain, so you should be fine.
You said you can't use chametz.
Use this beer. No, there is a chametz. Just don't use it again. There's particles, but there's no actual pirulim. There's no actual mamash to it. You rinse down the drain. Bittul chametz, you have to be careful to do it before Shal Chamishis. You have to do it. This is the Kol Chamira you're supposed to do on Friday that you didn't do by the Sreifa. You have to do it on Shabbos. Make sure you do it before the Zman. Okay, Rabbi Tuvia, we're going to try to finish fast. Taruvas chametz, taking medications on Pesach. This is very, very important. This is probably from the most common shaylas in Lubenis. Is she allowed to take in prenatals, l'chulu, most of the kidneys, they're not the actual chametz. Okay, the halacha is as follows, that somebody who's beileya, somebody who swallows something, and there's no hanasa goyden, there's no actual, you don't feel the taste, you're not being nahana, you're not actually deriving benefit from what you're swallowing, it's only an issa d'rabbanan of whatever you're eating. So technically, even though you're eating something which by itself is an issa d'raisa, but l'maisa, if you only swallow it and you don't chew it and there's no tam, it's only an issa d'rabbanan. That makes life much easier. Why? Because if it's only an issa d'rabbanan and you're chayla she'en b'sakana, you're allowed to eat it. So therefore, anything which is a pill, in pill form, swallowable form, the halacha is you're allowed to take your medication. If you're chayla she'en b'sakana, if you have a condition, if you have something that, whatever, the doctor says you need to take it, you're not obligated to start checking lists. If it's swallowable, you have to take medication. You have to take your medication, period, end. Don't play around with that.
Should you go out of your way to get one of the commercial pizza?
I'll tell you a secret. Most of them are not chametz. And whatever is chametz, it's not from the active ingredients which is creating the refuah, and it's batal and pogum 20 times over. And the halacha is, we don't say actually the refuah. We don't say that since l'maisa you're eating it, it shows that you want it. We don't say it if you're only eating it for the purpose of refuah. So technically you're fine, your mamash fine. Vitamins. Vitamins is not medication.
The kosher brands are going to come after you.
It's okay. They know already. This is the psak. They know this. Vitamins are generally not medication. Vitamins are to be mechazik your guf. They're to make sure that you're doing well, right? So you don't have the heter of a cher l'shevi sakana to stand take medicine, which is chametz, because the ma'aseh it's still in this rabbanon to be beleya without actually tasting it. So vitamins, unless you need it, unless the doctor tells you you're deficient and it could be dangerous, whatever it is, you have to start being careful. Me'ikra din, you should stay away. Emubadas, prenatals, I'll tell you secret, all kidneys. Kidneys, it's not a problem at all, you don't have to take it. It's not, nobody's machmer on this. Because technically you do need the prenatals, it's very helpful, the folic acid, so you don't have to make yourself crazy. If you're taking the Jewish brands and Zelas, they're all kidneys, they're not chametz. So again, it doesn't mean that a healthy person would start taking kidneys vitamins during Pesach. A Mubaris is allowed to. A regular person, you should not be doing it. Sorry? Oh boy, that's a whole machlekes. We're not going to get there. We're not going to touch that. That's a share for itself. Homeopathic medicine. There's actually a new English book that came out. If anybody has any issues with addiction, there's a big rabbi who deals with it, Rabbi Tuvia Kasimov, whatever, from Tinek. That's his specialty. So he wrote a book on alternative medicine. There was one which was put out a few years ago that became blacklisted, and everyone came out against it. But this one, it just came out. We'll see what happens in a few weeks. We don't know yet if it's going to be accepted, but actually that's not the Lam guy that walked in a few minutes, or whatever, that was here earlier. He actually got me that book, the one that... shiurim for the mitzvahs, and we'll end with that. We can speak about kashrut, but it's pretty late. No, I can stay if you guys want to listen. I have what to say, but I don't know if you want to. So, Lamaisa, the first night, in total you eat 5 kazesim of matzah. How do you get from one? The mitzvah is 1 kazayis. How do you get to 5 kazesim? Very simple. I'm just going to go through what you do, not the reasons behind it. Let's finish. The first, achilas matzah, you eat 2 kazesim. Then you have kairach, and then you have afikomen, which you have another 2. So 2, 1, and 2. So in total you have 5 kazesim. There's 2 different shiurim for kazayis. One is a kazayis b'deiraisa, which is 27 grams, and one which is a kazayis which is b'derabanan, which is 18 grams. So machlekes, do you measure it by weight? Do you measure it by volume? That's a shmuz for itself. The first kazayis of matzah, the first 2, you should be makbid, if possible, to have a full 27 grams on each. If it's difficult, a person's not well, they cannot stomach matzah, you have 27 grams. The second one, you can be lenient to have 18 grams. I'll tell you exactly how to measure it before in a moment. For kairach, l'chatchila, you can be mekel on 18 grams. Kairach is only the rabbanon zman, right? It's only a zeicher. It's not an actual mitzvah for itself. So everybody agrees you can do l'chatchila 18 grams and you're fine, you're good to go. Afikomen, l'chatchila you should do, again you should try to do both of them 27 grams if you're not able to. So you can do the rabbanon, you can do 18. And if even that you can't do, you should have 1 kazayis of afikomen and your yetzer, and that's it. Now, how do you measure your kazaysim? Do you actually have to go and measure it? That's a machlekes, obviously. We said earlier, everything's a machlekes. How do you measure it? Do you go by grams or do you go by volume? So, really the halacha is you go by volume. So if you take a small matchbox, or you take a small l'chaim cup, and you crumble up all your matzah, and you fill up a small matchbox or a small l'chaim cup, that is a kazayis of matzah that you need to have. If you want to go and measure it on a scale, 27 grams, 18 grams, again, you have to be careful. Every brand is going to be different sizes, and each one, the thickness is going to be different, so it's all an estimate. It's going to end up being a little bit more if you're going to go by grams than if you go by volume. So prepare it in advance. If you know that you have a hard time, you're not able to stomach things easily, or you have a condition, you're not able to eat so much, be prepared. Whatever you're going to do, either through volume or through weight, whatever it is, just do it before in advance to make sure what you need to do.
Matchbox is 27,
no, if you're going by weight, it's 27. it's if you go with the volume of an ounce, it's around the size of a small matchbox.
How much is a berach on a regular matzah?
It's hard to say. Approximately, it's actually 1/3. It's not a half. It's less than a half of a matzah. It's very hard to. It's dangerous to say 1/3 because every brand is going to vary, and even in the brands themselves, it's human. It's human work. It's a what? Exactly. It's very hard to say. Yeah. It's very hard to say a standard size.
The thinner matzahs are usually bigger also.
Correct. So 1/3 of a bigger matzah and 1/3 of a smaller matzah, a thinner matzah. The Dalit cases we go with Reb Chaim No. The halacha is it's 86 grams, which is around 3 ounces, and some say 3.5 ounces. Most cups are going to be able to hold that. If you have a hard time with wine, so take the smallest, as long as it's 3. If you really need 3 ounces, is good. If you're able to, 3.5 is better.
Not 2.9.
You can push it to 2.9. The ones that say 3, it's really 2.9, but they round it up because you're not going to get a cup which is 2.9. It doesn't exist. And you have to have a full cup, so it's not going to work. L'chatchila, you have to speak how fast you have to eat the matzahs. Forgot that. L'chatchila, 4 minutes. L'chatchila, you should be makbid to do 4 minutes. I'm not going to tell you the smaller share because it's not possible. You're going to choke, has to show you. You try for 4 minutes. If you can. What? You can be more lenient. That's it. The next one is 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Mamish b'shas chagod. Don't be samech on it, but there is one shitta 9 minutes. Don't do it. But if you mamish stop, you can be samech on it, but that's not the accepted shitta.
Both kazaysim?
Each kazais for itself. B'chtei chilas pras for that kazais. Drinking. So l'chatchila, the halacha is you should drink the entire cup. If you're not able to, rev revius, which is just under 2 ounces. You're good to go. Mother, so you do 18 grams, it's only with Rabbanon. And same thing, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, b'shas and chagod, 9 minutes is also good.
How much of a lettuce is that?
You weigh it. It's, it's if you have one lettuce and some horseradish, you're for sure good to go. But for 18 grams, it's not so much. Okay. We'll finish.